Doing countless fantasy football drafts this summer, I have found a couple of strategies that I really love using. One of those strategies is the hero running back draft strategy that we're going to be breaking down in today's video. We're going to talk about, at the beginning, just how the hero running back draft strategy works and why you might want to utilize it. We're going to be breaking down what league formats work best for the hero running back strategy, and then we're going to be talking about who your hero running back should be, followed by breaking down 3 examples from an early first round pick, a middle first round pick, and the end of the first round, and discussing how the hero running back draft strategy would look from each of those picks. Finally, doing a mock draft at the end of today's video, showing you guys how I would actually utilize this strategy in my home league. Before we get into today's video, though, I would like to ask, if you are new to the channel, you do end up enjoying, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel, make sure you leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Prior to last year, the hero running back strategy was super straightforward. You draft one running back in the first 2 rounds, allowing that running back to be your hero RB, and after that, you smash the wide receiver button and draft one of, or potentially both, of your quarterback and tight end before you end up picking your second running back. Once you take your second running back, typically you want to make sure that you are smash drafting more running backs after that have high upside to potentially slot into your running back 2 spot. It is also important to understand that the waiver wire also plays a factor into this. You may be able to potentially pick up that league-winning running back off of the waiver wire to be your RB2, or even just a replaceable running back 2 that you are able to cycle in every couple of weeks. This year, the strategy is very similar. The only difference is that now you can extend that 2-round parameter for your running back number 1, that hero running back, to be 3 rounds due to the fact that less running backs are going earlier in fantasy drafts compared to prior seasons. A tweet from Ryan Heath says the number of running backs drafted in the first 40 picks of ESPN leagues by seasons: 2017, 19 running backs in the first 40 picks. 2018, 17. 2019, 19 running backs. 2020, 17. 2021, 19 running backs. And 2022, 18 running backs. We have kind of seen that paradigm shift from 2017 through 2022 compared to the last few seasons. 2023, 15 running backs. 2024, 16. And from July 1st, 2025, 15 running backs. That number from July 1st is actually the exact same today on August 13th, with 15 running backs coming off the board within the first 40 picks based upon ESPN ADP. That is nearly 20% fewer running backs going in the earlier rounds over the last 3 years. Now, it is important to note that if you wait until round 3 to take your hero running back, you are taking a risk, as it is far from a guarantee that you'll actually love the RB going in round 3. Now, if that ends up happening, you are perfectly fine to just pivoting directly off of this strategy. And that is why I try to make it very clear in every single strategy video that the best strategy is always going to be best player available, and that you don't want to put yourself into a box going into the draft thinking you need to go hero running back, you need to go hero wide receiver, you need a quarterback by round 3, a tight end by round 4, because if things don't fall that way, you're going to end up reaching and really hurting your fantasy football team. So I don't want you guys to go into the draft thinking you need to go hero running back, because if that doesn't end up happening, the draft doesn't fall your way, you could end up really hurting your chances of winning. But if the draft does fall your way, I do really believe the hero running back draft strategy can be lethal. The reason why this strategy has become so popular over the last few years is because it allows you to avoid the quote-unquote running back dead zone, and instead you're able to take your shots on running backs after that. Now, that was notoriously the zone from rounds 4 through 7. The definition changes from person to person, but that running back dead zone is kind of dead, because we have seen over the last couple of years in that dead zone that a decent amount of running backs have hit. But there are a lot more question marks the further you get down the running back rankings, and that's why getting a hero running back seems so smart this year and being able to take a lot of shots at your running back too late. This strategy, in my opinion, works best in leagues that start a deeper roster. What I mean by that is in leagues that start either multiple flex spots or more than 2 wide receivers. For example, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flexes, or 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and 1 flex. Now, this strategy does work in your vanilla, your typical 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. But in my opinion, I don't think it is as effective as your running back 2 would matter a lot more. It accounts for more points when you compare to the league where you're getting to start 3 wide receivers or 2 flexes. Now, there's also a strategy called modified hero RB, where you would draft your hero running back in rounds 1 through 3, take some non-RBs through the next couple of rounds, but maybe in between that, you might go ahead and instead of filling out your whole roster before you get that RB2, you might sneak in your second running back there. So it's not completely hero RB, but it's also not completely hero RB if you get the sense. So again, before we start going into some examples of how the hero running back strategy works and how you can implement it in your home league drafts, and then I'm going to go ahead and do an actual mock draft showing you guys how this works, I will recap what we have talked about thus far. Hero running back is drafting 1 running back in the first 3 rounds, allowing the running back to be your hero. I want to be your hero. After that, you will fill up your wide receiver core, draft a quarterback or tight end. In some instances, you draft both of those before you take your running back 2. Since your running back 2 may be more suspect, you want to make sure that you draft a bunch of high upside shots at the running back position as you get deeper and deeper into the draft. And you also have to understand that the waiver wire can help you find a great running back too, especially maybe it might not be for the whole season, but every couple of weeks, if a running back goes down, you're able to pick up their backup and slot them in as your RB2. This strategy works best in leagues where you're able to start more than 7 players weekly, and you shouldn't go into your draft just focusing on doing any strategy. If the draft falls the way of going hero running back, then sure, that is great, but forcing yourself to pick a running back when there is greater value at wide receiver or even quarterback and tight end in the first 3 rounds, you should definitely just be taking the best player available. So looking into rounds 1 through 3, according to aggregate ADP from ESPN Sleeper, NFL, and CBS, there are 14 running backs going through the first 36 picks. Those running backs are Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Ashton Genty, Devon Achane, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, Kyron Williams, Chase Brown, James Cook, and Breece Hall. The running backs that I would feel comfortable being my hero running back, putting that cape on, shout out to Clark Kent, based upon ADP would be Bijan, Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Ashton Genty, Devon Achane, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Kyron Williams, as well as Chase Brown. So now we are going to be getting into some examples of how you would execute hero running back from an early first round pick, the middle of the first round, and the end of the first round. If you guys have enjoyed today's video thus far, make sure if you are new to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, make sure you leave a like on today's video. The first example here is going to be from the 2nd overall draft pick. From the 2-hole, we went ahead and drafted Bijan Robinson, Lamar Jackson, Garrett Wilson, Cortland Sutton, Ted McMillan, Calvin Ridley, Mark Andrews, Juwan Jennings, Jordan, the numbers Mason, what do they mean? Tank Bigsby, Ramondre Stevenson, Dylan Sampson, Keenan Allen, as well as the Los Angeles Rams. So typically, 101, you're going to either be seeing Ja'Marr Chase, Bijan, or Saquon Barkley. So from here, you are very well open to going with either Bijan or Saquon Barkley. But if Ja'Marr Chase does fall to me at the 102, a majority of the time, I am going to take Ja'Marr Chase and would thus abandon ship on this hero running back draft strategy. So through our first 7 picks, we got our hero running back, we got our QB1 with Lamar Jackson, our tight end 1 with Mark Andrews, and we filled in our 2 wide receiver spots, plus our 2 flex spots with Garrett Wilson, Cortland Sutton, Ted McMillan, and Calvin Ridley. I really like how we started this draft off. In the 8th round, we could have went with a running back. We could have potentially grabbed Jalen Warren there. If Tyrone Tracy fell there, I would have been very excited to take him, but he ultimately went at the 8.4. So I went and took just 1 more upside shot at wide receiver. Now, the health of Juwan Jennings is still up in the air, but we do have a question mark for early on the season with Ted McMillan. So I wanted to make sure I had a safety valve at wide receiver if I didn't want to go with Ted McMillan week 1. So I drafted Keenan Allen a little bit later, who I would be comfortable playing in week number 1. And if Juwan Jennings was healthy, he would also be fine to play over Ted McMillan, though I do believe Ted McMillan is going to be that late season hammer. As the season goes on, he is going to increase his power level until it's over 9,000. So with our RB1 being Bijan, we waited until round 9, and then we smash drafted 4 running backs in a row: Jordan Mason, Tank Bigsby, Ramondre Stevenson, and Dylan Sampson. Week 1, my starter would probably be Jordan Mason with the 1A, 1B talk in Minnesota with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. So I feel like he's a fine RB2. Tank Bigsby could end up becoming the RB1 on the team. Maybe Stevenson is able to hold off Travion Henderson, or maybe he gets the goal line work and we're able to start him. Dylan Sampson could be the RB1 week 1 for the Cleveland Browns, or maybe he takes over if Quinshon Judkins doesn't end up being able to play, doesn't even sign his contract. So I like this team. We have a great wide receiver core. We have an elite quarterback, and we have a tight end that I believe has the ability to be the tight end number 1. We have our hero running back, and then we have great shots at running backs late. And again, you will be able to utilize the waiver wire in this strategy, right? This isn't just our team for the whole season. So I really like how we attack this draft from the second pick. Now we're going to pivot on into our middle pick example. For our middle pick example, we're going from smack right in the middle of the draft at pick number 6 of 12 teams. We went with CeeDee Lamb, Bucky Irving, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, Bo Nix, Caleb Johnson, Stephon Diggs, Jordan, the numbers Mason, what do they mean, Tank Bigsby, Dallas Goedert, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Cedric Tillman, as well as the LA Rams. So we did end up avoiding the tight end position. We didn't technically take a tight end before we took our RB number 2, but that is a perfectly acceptable way to do a hero running back draft, and I like how this thing turned out. Bucky Irving is going to be the hero running back for our team. We have CeeDee Lamb, who I think could easily finish as the wide receiver 1. I think if Tyreek Hill is able to get healthy, assuming that he is healthy, I think he could also be the wide receiver 1. I think Devontae Adams, if Stafford is healthy again, there's a decent amount of ifs here, but the report on Stafford has been at least somewhat positive, and I don't think Tyreek Hill's injury is super serious. So if you're watching this in late August, obviously you would know, hey, Nick, Tyreek Hill's actually not healthy and Stafford's fucked up. Then you might not want to be taking these guys, but right now that's kind of how I see things. Devontae Smith feels like kind of a safety net inside the 5th round, and we got a quarterback in Bo Nix, so I think has the ability to be inside the top 3 at the quarterback position. So after that, we took Caleb Johnson, who, again, do I know week 1 Caleb Johnson's going to be the guy? Probably not, but I think he sees enough work to be startable in this scenario when we have such a loaded wide receiver core. And if something was to happen to any of those other wide receivers, we have Stephon Diggs, who is the wide receiver 1 on the Patriots, and I think has a decent amount of value from week number 1. Then we went with Jordan Mason, who we took last time. I'm a big fan of Tank Bigsby as well. Goddard being our tight end 1 is a little bit suspect, but we may be able to churn the waiver wire, find someone better there. We got 9-inch Nicholas Chubb in case Joe Mixon misses time. Then Nick Chubb could be our RB2 in week 1, and then we picked up a high upside wide receiver in round 13. We didn't talk about the defense last time. We went with the Rams. The reason why I am so heavy onto drafting the Rams, and you're going to see me talk about them a ton this summer, is because I stream defenses, and the Rams defense is going up against the Texans week 1. The Texans have a dog shit offensive line. The LA Rams have a great defensive line. That is a match that will go the way of the Rams, and thus, if they get a bunch of sacks on CJ Stroud, they're going to be money in week 1. We move now to our late round 1 example with the pick number 11. Our hero running back from this spot was Devon Achane, who we took in the 2nd round. So we went Nico Collins, Devon, 2 Chains, George Kittle, Mike Evans, Ted McMillan, Baker Mayfield, Stephon Diggs, Tyrone Tracy, Jordan Mason, Zach Charbonnet, Amshad, Rashid Shaheed, Jaden Bonnie Blue Thornton, and the LA Rams defense. I like how this one turned out as well. Honestly, I think George Kittle is definitely getting slept on. In some leagues, you're even able to get him inside the 4th round. So we have a potential top 3 tight end, top 3 receiver, top 3 running back. We have a quarterback that I definitely think could flirt with top 3 as well with Baker, even without Liam Cohen. And we have a RB2 that I really like in Tyrone Tracy, who I think if Cam Scatterboo continues to be banged up, further and further cementing himself as the running back number 1 inside of this offense. Jordan Mason, again, 1B to Aaron Jones, 1A. Zach Charbonnet is kind of just the bet on, hey, Kenneth Walker, there's been reports that he hasn't been super healthy. Kenneth Walker in the past hasn't been super healthy, and you know that when Kenneth Walker goes down, knock on wood, we're not rooting for injuries, but Zach Charbonnet could be a top 5 running back in those instances. And then Jaden Blue, he did end up getting banged up, but the report is that he'll be back in practice soon, so I'm not going to panic too much on that. So I really liked this approach. I feel very confident in our starting lineup week 1. Especially since Tyrone Tracy is our RB2, who I think, even though their schedule isn't the best, with how much pass catching upside that he has and how many catches he's been getting out of the backfield from Russell Wilson in training camp, I think that Tyrone Tracy's a steal in the 8th round. So I like this team a ton. Let me know in the comment section which one of these hero running back teams you like the best thus far. And now we're going to head on into a mock draft utilizing this strategy where I break down my thoughts inside of the full draft instead of just getting the draft at the end, and then we talk about the team from there. Now we move on into the mock draft. We're going to be doing this from the 9th overall pick using the optimal draft settings for our roster. It's going to be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flexes, a kicker, defense, and 5 bench spots. This is a full PPR mock draft. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button down below. And whether you are new to the channel or not, make sure you leave a like on today's video. I would also like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our partner over at Underdog. If you're brand new to Underdog and sign up using promo code Notorious, you'll get your free pick plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash, as well as getting my draft guide. The link to that is in the video description. If you don't know what Underdog is, it's the best ball platform in the world. If you don't know what best ball is, it's the best part about fantasy football. It's the draft, and that's it. There's no waivers, there's no trades, there's no in-season management. Underdog automatically puts the highest scores into your lineup at the end of every single week. Their biggest tournament right now running is Best Ball Mania. $15 million in total prizes, $2 million to first place, $25 to enter. They also have smaller contests like the Puppy, $5 to enter, $100,000 to first place. So make sure you guys check that out. Link in the video description. And if you don't want to sign up over on Underdog and you want access to my draft guide, or you've already signed up, then all you have to do is go on the link in the video description of the Patreon, $12.50 for a month. You can get my draft guide. So picking from the 9th overall pick, where the main picks have already happened, right? Through the first 8 picks, this is a very typical start. Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Ja'Marr Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Jahmyr Gibbs. Sure, are things a little bit out of order, 100%, but I do think that through the first 8 picks, these are kind of the typical players that would go. So we're going to go ahead here and take our hero running back and get Christian McCaffrey. I know his ranking is pick 14, but I really think that's crazy. He should clearly be a top 10 pick. You could honestly take him at pick number 7. That's how high I would take him. So I like Christian McCaffrey a ton. I get there's injury risk, but you don't win your league making the safest picks possible. If Christian McCaffrey is the RB1, he could legitimately be the RB1 by 50, 70 total points at the end of the season. The guy is that legit. I love Christian McCaffrey, and sure, if he ends up fucking me sideways because he ends up getting hurt, I am ready to swallow that pill. Pause. After Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Puka Nacua, Drizzy Drake London, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, and Nico Collins. Now, if we are going to take ourselves out of this is a hero running back draft, right here, I would be picking between either Devon Achane or BTJ. I think both are excellent picks. We get that dynamic duo at running back with Achane and McCaffrey, and then after that, we can go hammer time, MC Hammer on the wide receiver position. But since we are following the strategy, again, this is why you don't need to just do any given strategy. You want to be very fluid with it. We'll go with BTJ here. Again, I would definitely consider BTJ at this pick as well. Clear wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville. The guy absolutely feasted like a fat kid at a fucking buffet, like a fat kid on Thanksgiving last season, and I think he's going to be able to do it again. I think the talent is just amazing with BTJ. I think he's one of the most talented wide receivers in the NFL already, and this is just his 2nd year. After BTJ, Devon Achane, AJ Brown, Bucky Irving, Trey McBride, Ladd McConkey, Kyron Williams, Tyreek Hill, Jonathan Taylor, Lamar Jackson, Josh Jacobs, Josh Allen. Then we see Marvin Harrison, Chase Brown, Higgins, Breece Hall, and Jackson Smith. The Jigba, James Cook did get paid. We'll talk about that real quick. Does that change my opinion on him? Fuck no, baby. I'm still not drafting him because I just don't think he's going to be able to keep up that touchdown, the amount of touchdowns they scored last season, and thus I think he's going to be a big, fat bust. So we're back up on the clock here at the 1.9. Realistically, at this pick, we're probably looking at George Kittle, or Garrett Wilson here. For me, I am a pretty big believer in Garrett Wilson, if I'm being honest. I understand that his career for fantasy football definitely hasn't been all sunshine and roses, but I do really believe in the player Garrett Wilson. I think him and Justin Fields have a great connection dating back to college, and he's just the clear wide receiver one in this team. He is going to get peppered. I think he's a steal when he falls this late into the third round. After we went ahead and went with Garrett Wilson, Jalen, stop, it hurts. Jaden, Stormy Daniels, Mike Evans, James Cook, Terry McLaurin, and O'Marion Hampton. I also, if I started the draft like this, O'Marion Hampton also would have been considered in the third round, but again, we're doing the hero running back strategy, so we kind of have to move things that way. Now, I know some people might say, Nick, you can't possibly draft George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey on the same team. I'm going to do exactly that. I think George Kittle has the upside to be the tight end one in fantasy football, and I think the 49ers offense is going to be a lot better than they were last season, especially if they are able to stay healthy. I think they have one of the easiest, if not the easiest schedule in the National Football League. Brock Purdy got paid for a reason. George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey can both coexist and put up big numbers. I am very comfortable taking two players on the same team in the first 4 rounds if they are on good offenses. Again, if they are on good offenses. Do I want Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson on the same team? Fuck no, baby. Do I want a 49er and another 49er on the same team? Yes. Would I be fine with Chase Brown and Jamar Chase? Yes, I would, because I think those are going to be good offenses. A couple quarterbacks came off the board, as well as Sam Laporta. So the best quarterback available at this point would be Baker, whose ranking is 67. We're at pick 57, so I don't think we necessarily have to reach on him, and we might be able to get him back inside the 6th round if we did want to go quarterback there. Looking at the running backs available, RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco, I'm fine with Pacheco in this range. Same thing goes with Travion Henderson, but again, we're not touching the running back position here. So Xavier Worthy, Jameson Williams, George Pickens, Tet McMillan. I have been stroking the metaphorical skin flute of Tet McMillan for a very long time now, and I'm going to continue to do so. May it take some time for him to fully develop as a wide receiver, as the clear alpha in this offense. Maybe, but I think after about the halfway point in the season, probably even sooner, honestly, he looks like the clear best receiver on this team. He's going to take over, and once he does, I believe he actually has top 10, top 5 upside on a weekly basis. We saw how pass heavy the Carolina Panthers were towards the end of last season. I think we're to see something similar, and we saw Bryce Young play so well. So through our first 5 picks, we got Christian McCaffrey, Brian Thomas Jr., Garrett Wilson, George Kittle, as well as Tet McMillan. So we still have another spot in our flex, and we are still without a quarterback at this point. If you wanted to pull the trigger on Baker, I would be fine with that. But there are a lot of wide receivers that I like in this range. I like Jalen waddled away, waddle. I like Calvin Ridley a ton. It might be considered a quote-unquote reach here at pick 64 to take Calvin Ridley, but I don't think he's going to come back to us. I think there's no way, Jose, that will happen, and I do have him ranked as the highest wide receiver on my list, so I'm going to take him. Do I think Cam Ward is necessarily the savior of the Tennessee Titans franchise? I am not 100% sold on that. I'm not, but I do think that he has the ability to at least be good enough to feed Calvin Ridley, because Calvin Ridley was fed heavily last season. The problem is the ball was coming his way, and it was thrown a whole different school district. He threw it into a different country. He threw the ball directly into the fucking ocean. He's throwing the ball out of the stadium. Will Levis is a certified bum, and Ward isn't, and that's going to help out Calvin Ridley, because as long as the ball's near Calvin Ridley, he can catch it. It's just the problem is, again, the ball was nowhere near him last season. After Calvin Ridley, Baker Mayfield, Travis Hunter, Chris Olave, Bo Nix, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce, Jerry Jeudy, Ron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Jordan Addison Ray, Mark Andrews, Jalen waddled away, waddle, and then David Njoku. So looking at quarterback here, we've got Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, Brock Purdy. This is where you don't want to panic. A lot of people will panic in this scenario. They will be like, okay, I don't have a quarterback. A couple teams don't have a quarterback. So now I have to pull the trigger because I have the fear of missing out. I have the fear that if I don't get Goff, Murray, Herbert, Purdy, whoever my favorite quarterback is, I'm not going to be able to get a quarterback that I like in the next round or in round number 9. You don't want to panic. And this is where we would differ from doing the prototypical hero running back, and we would just take our running back here, I think this is also fine to do. I would still categorize this as hero running back, not even modified hero running back, but some people will be like, oh, Nick, you got to get your quarterback beforehand. I don't think that's the case. So for me, here would be between Brian Robinson and Tyrone Tracy. I think Brian Robinson is 9,000 times safer. I think Tyrone Tracy just has more upside because I think he's just a better all-around running back than Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson doesn't really have any pass-catching upside, but Brian Robinson's on a much better offense with the upside to beat the piss out of any given team, be up in games, run the ball gently down the stream, and you see Brian Robinson potentially score a bunch of touchdowns just because he is attached to such a great offense. So we will go with Brian Robinson here just because I do believe he is a little bit safer, and then we're going to kind of throw the risk out the window and go with more high upside shots, unless Tyrone Tracy falls to us, which he does. He's going right around ADP. Right now, rank 87 on here. It's pick 88. So this draft basically went exactly how you could dream it up. You got your hero running back. You're able to get your RB2 in the 7th round that you like, and your running back 3, I also really like with Tyrone Tracy. Now, if Cam Skattebo was 100% healthy, I'd be a little bit more nervous, right? I would be a little bit more lax with me banging the drum for Tyrone Tracy, but knowing that Cam Skattebo is banged up, that pushes the narrative even further towards Tyrone Tracy just securing this role early on in the season. Now, we do have to at some point consider taking a quarterback. Team 2 takes their quarterback. Team 4, who didn't have a quarterback when we made our last pick, took Kyler. Team 7, or 5, 6, 7, and 8 all have a quarterback. The only team that doesn't have a quarterback is me. Now, it is very important to note that if you know your league, you can make a very educated decision here. You know your league mates aren't going to take a second quarterback before you take yours. You take your quarterback right here. You pick your poison. You pick the guy that you like the most, and you draft him. Now, if you know your league mates aren't as crazy, you know, they drafted Jalen Hurts in the 3rd round, Jaden Stormy Daniels in the 3rd round, they will wait, then you wait. But that's why it's important to know your league. If you don't know your league, I'm still probably waiting because I'm going to assume my league mates are a little bit smarter, but that's, you know, always an assumption, and an assumption can make an ass out of you and me, and you might feel a little bit foolish. So we're going to wait. We're going to take another shot at running back, get Jordan Mason again. We already talked about him earlier, but with the talk about Aaron Jones and him being 1A, 1B, with Aaron Jones' inability to get in on the goal line last year, and just his inefficiency at scoring touchdowns, inside the red zone, I really think that Jordan Mason's going to get that role. So Brock Purdy goes, right? We made an assumption, and we got kicked in the dick because of it. If you take Jaden Daniels in round 3, if you take a quarterback early, you are assuming that that quarterback is going to be the quarterback 1, right? That's your hope. They're at least going to be a top 3 quarterback. They're going to win you your league because you took them so high. Why are you handcuffing it with another quarterback? Why are you wrapping a condom around your team like that? You don't have to do it. You are just basically saying, oh, I took Jaden Daniels in round 3, but now I need Brock Purdy. You don't need Brock Purdy. Sure, if you want to take a second quarterback because everyone in your league takes a second quarterback, go ahead. And you think if Jaden Daniels goes down or if something bad happens or when he's on bye, you're not going to be able to pick up another quarterback, then just all you got to do is just draft a quarterback with your last pick, right? You don't need to reach on a quarterback like that. I'm fine with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has been pretty consistent in his career when healthy. I think he has top 8 upside. I like Justin Fields a ton as well. I think Justin Fields could come back to us inside of the 11th round though. And we'll just go with Justin Fields. I have him ranked the highest. And again, knowing the computer will probably end up getting absolutely face fucked by the computer and Justin Fields won't be available, which would have been the case probably. Because after we took Fields, Dak came off the board. Caleb Williams came off the board. CJ Stroud came off the board. Well, another quarterback come off the board. Jordan Love comes off the board. So yeah, we would have gotten absolutely torched by the computer. So we made the educated decision there. And that's what happens when you do a lot of mock drafts. You just can almost see the future coming. So Najee Harris did take part in drills on Tuesday. Nice. But until I see that he's really going to be fully back, which just hasn't been indicated right now, I still think there's no reason to take Najee Harris at all. Has he been cleared for contact? I don't know. I don't know, Jim. So I would not be taking him. I think we do want to go ahead and get another wide receiver, though, before the wide receiver cliff hits us directly in the face. So I'm going to go with Rashid Shaheed. He was the wide receiver 1 on the Saints. Even when Chris Olave was healthy, he was looking better than Rashid Shaheed. Sure, different coaching staff, different quarterback, but Shaheed's also one of those guys that's like a firecracker you can throw into your lineup that has that big upside weekly to Hulk smash your opponent. Now we're going to go back with the running back here, get Tank Bigsby. There's kind of been some rumors that maybe Travis Etienne gets traded. We'll see. Not a guarantee, but that could really help out Tank Bigsby's chances of being the RB1. Even if that doesn't happen, I still think Tank Bigsby could end up being the running back 1 on the team. We saw Liam Cohen last year have at points in the season Bucky Irving be very useful, as well as Rachaad White. Our final pick here, I do kind of like the 5 running backs we have. We have Tank Bigsby, Jordan Mason, Tyrone Tracy, Christian McCaffrey, and B-Rob. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. I like them, so I'm going to take another wide receiver shot here because in this scenario, we could probably play, and most likely are going to be playing 4 wide receivers every single week. So we'll just take another wide receiver and we'll go with Keenan Allen, who I think has a pretty big upside weekly. Not going to be the safest bet last year. I think he had like 5 games with big games, and then the rest were all under 10 fantasy points. So literally the definition of boom or bust. And then for our defense, we're going to go ahead and draft the LA Rams for the reasons we talked about earlier. If you're like, Nick, I drafted Justin Fields, I can't just have Justin Fields. You could have, instead of taking Keenan Allen, taken, Bryce Young or some other quarterback that you like to be your quarterback number 2. So our draft here, we're going to have to do the electric slide. Slide to the left, slide to the right. We're going to do the electric slide over here. And our team is Christian McCaffrey, BTJ, Garrett Wilson, George Kittle, Ted McMillan, Calvin Ridley, B-Rob, Tyrone Tracy, Jordan, the numbers, Mason, what do they mean? Justin Fields, Am Shaheed, Rashid Shaheed, Tank Bigsby, Keenan Allen, and the LA Rams defense. So this is a perfectly mastered hero running back draft. Perfectly executed, all of the pieces perfectly fell our way. Are you always going to get that lucky? Fuck no, baby. So that's why you want to be able to pivot in your drafts. Don't stick in the way of thinking that you have to go hero running back, because if you do that, you might be getting kicked directly in the tuchus. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button like it owes you some money. Leave a like on today's videos. We got videos coming daily right at your head top, so make sure you are subscribed. Check out Underdog, promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description. Get your draft guide as well over on Patreon. I love you long time. Have a great one. Check out one of the videos on our screen if you haven't seen it already. As always, good boy.